The biggest miracle of my life was the day I realized that there are no miracles. I have to become one. 44 years ago today, I took my first breath on this planet. Life has happened and is happening. Since then, every breath, every minute, and every day. A total of 16,071 days are behind me, are history, and are nothing more than a dream. Now this moment is where I am, where I exist, and on this moment depends my next minute, next hour, and next day. I have existed the same way throughout those 16,071 days, living in the moment, existing the best way I could think of. I can recall just a very few early memories of me being a child, and a little more memories of my preteen years, and a bunch of teenage memories, and a lot more from my 20s and 30s. 16,071 days gone. We are the organisms with infinite possibilities, but have a finite number of days. How many? No one knows. There comes a point in everyone's life when we are conscious enough to look at the bigger picture of our lives, and we realize that we are running out of room on the canvas, and the artwork we are trying to create still doesn't make sense. There is no way we can change the patterns already permanently inscribed on the canvas. All we can do is to do our best to paint the rest of the picture around those patterns and give that picture some order and some meaning. We look at the patterns we call habits, according to which we have lived most of our lives. And life is still a mess, unorganized, unfulfilled, and just chaos. Dreams are still dreams, wishes are still wishes, and the mirage we started chasing in our late teens and early 20s is still a mirage. And for some fortunate ones, the tragedy happens. When we are jolted out of sleep and we wake up and we see the mirror for the first time in our lives. We lose a loved one, we encounter pain, and we come across the reality called death. When we look at life through the lens of death, everything becomes clear. It gives us a new perspective, and we come across the biggest unanswered question ever. Why? Why do we do things we do? Why should we keep on doing those? Why can't we do things that we want to do? And why should we continue? Life starts the same for us, with 1,000 dreams and 1,000,000 wishes, thinking to win over the world. But we never came to know the fact that to achieve something, we need a plan. And more than that, we need to act on that. And without a plan, life just happens. And when life doesn't happen the way we want, it leads to disappointment. That leads to anxieties and depression. None of the education we receive in schools and universities is focused on teaching life, its purpose, and the concepts of happiness and satisfaction. All we are shown are the mirages of success that we spend a lifetime chasing. And before we know it, we are married, have kids, and guess what? It's your 40th birthday. That's when life shows us the mirror. The midlife crisis we used to hear and ignore turns out to be a real thing. It's then we look back and there are 40 years behind us and there are not that many accomplishments. The day my father passed away, while pushing his casket into the furnace, I witnessed a human being turning into a puff of smoke and a handful of ashes. We live a life while being at the center of the universe, and we believe that the whole system revolves around us. But that day, my perspective towards life changed. My father was gone. Where? I had no clue about that. And all I had of him was just a thought. I questioned myself that all I am allowed to leave behind is just a thought. Then why not leave a good one? I started questioning everything we considered important to us, life, its meaning, and its purpose. I decided to change my path and I decided to change myself. But to my surprise, I faced the biggest hurdle called habits. The patterns I kept for the past 40 years and the patterns that cover most of my life's picture. I decided to change those patterns and try to draw new ones. I failed and failed over and over. That was the darkest time of my life so far. For the first time, I understood the importance of time when the most productive years were behind me and it looked blurry, if not dark, ahead. And at that time, the biggest gift from my father showed up, showed me a ray of hope. I found faith one more time that I always said I had no time for. I turned to philosophy and tried to understand the big order by which our universe operates. I accepted the Creator and His works, and it started to make sense what we are and where we belong in this equation. As they say, when you hit rock bottom, the only way left is way up. I started climbing, and that's when the miracle happened. The miracle of the realization of the fact that there are no miracles. We have to become one. And for that, we have to find the true meaning and purpose behind our existence. As Malcolm Forbes said, that when what we are is what we want to be, that is happiness. How simple. Why do we want to change? Because we know we are not what we want to be. When we know exactly what we want to be, the path becomes clear. That is the purpose, that is the passion, and that is the pursuit that leads to happiness. There are going to be setbacks, failures, as life is still happening with all its charm. But this is where our vocabulary is enriched with words like courage, grit, and perseverance. We learn the fact that if we keep on knocking, doors will open. I found my passion and my purpose. But this is just the beginning. The biggest lesson I have learned so far is that life is a process with no one outcome. It is an infinite game and cannot be played with finite goals. The goals should be bigger than life and beyond life. We will be remembered for the actions we took, the influences we created, the lives we changed, and the legacy we left behind. I know the life ahead is not easy, but at least I am conscious about my decisions this time. I have only one goal in mind, that whenever I come to the last moment of my life and I look back, I want to be proud of my being. I want to say that I did good, I did my part, and I did make a positive difference in someone's life. Every one of us has a story worth telling. I'm writing mine. Not thinking someone will read it, but just for the fact that I want to give this book a happy ending. And all of us should do that. Give our stories a happy ending. The past is gone. The life is always now onwards. As Alan Watts used to say, that we live in the continuous now. It was now when the past happened, and it will be now when the future happens. But the only time that we are allowed to change is now. Change your now, and the future will change itself. Let's start today. One word, one line, one page at a time. 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day at a time. One habit, one hobby, one goal at a time. One step, one effort, one achievement at a time. One smile, one conversation, one relation at a time. It's going to be boring if we keep focusing on the results instead of focusing on the process itself. Age is just a number. Everyone says when I say I'm getting old. Yes, age is a number, but the numbers we are playing with are finite. And trust me, that day the big realization happens, time speeds up. And days, months, years starts flying by. The struggle is on. The miracle I want to become is still in the making, but I have started to understand the concept of happiness. Life is fun when we stop chasing and start changing. Let's change into someone who we can look in the mirror and feel proud of. We are not born the day we came into existence. We are born the day we realize the reasons for our existence. I'm still deciding on that day, still in search of a purpose, still in search of a meaning, and I'm a bit worried at the same time as to find all those answers. All I've got is one chance.